right, that's what we were looking for. Hi, everyone. I appreciate everybody being here today. For those of you who are watching this via the recording, welcome. We are here in our lovely space at what was Aslan Institute on our Enlightenment Day Retreat. We got a bunch of people via Zoom. We got a bunch of people here in the space with us. And so I'm going to start today by reading just a little bit, about half I'll end up reading, of Kazan's Shakyamuni Buddha's Enlightenment. Kazan is considered, for those of you who are newer, kind of the second pillar of Soto Zen in Japanese Soto Zen, right after Dogen. Dogen's the pillar number one and Kazan is pillar number two. They were roughly contemporaries. Kazan lived a little bit later than Dogen did. And Dogen's temple, Eiheiji, and Kazan's temple, Sojiji, are kind of considered, those are the two main temples in Japanese Soto Zen. And so Kazan, he did a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not going to get into today. But one of the things he's famous for writing is usually translated as a record of the transmission of the light, or a record of the transmission of the lamp. He wrote a book or a collection of koans, a collection of cases of the tradition of sitting being handed from teacher to disciple through the generations, if that makes sense, right? So it's quite a large collection. And most of it is apocryphal, but it's all symbolically relevant. Does that make sense? We don't know how much historical veracity there is, but that's not super important. Keizan Jokin is in our list of ancestors, for those of you who are ancestor people. And Keizan Jokin, that's his Dharma name. His name means lustrous mountain. Keizan is lustrous mountain. Jokin is bequeathing jewels. Lustrous mountain, bequeathing jewels. Keizan Jokin. Oh, man. That should be the whole talk, actually. Yeah, I was like, oh, woof. On the other hand, if you knew him and you knew that was his name, boy, pretty high bar, right? So if he gets cranky about like the line at the bank, he's like, come on, where are your jewels? Let's bequeath. Come on. I'm teasing my ancestor. He says, in part, and this is the first case. This is the first case in the book, because of course this whole project in Zen starts with the Buddha story. Shakyamuni Buddha saw the morning star and realized enlightenment. He said, I, together with all beings and the great earth, attain the way. At age 19, Shakyamuni leapt over the palace walls in the dead of night and shaved off his hair. After that, he practiced austerities for 6 years. Subsequently, he sat on the indestructible seat, so immobile that spiders spun webs in his eyebrows and magpies built a nest on top of his head. How great is that, right? Reeds grew up between his legs as he sat tranquilly and erect for 6 years. At the age of 30, on the 8th day of the 12th month, as the morning star appeared, he was suddenly enlightened. I, together with all beings and the great earth, attain the way, was his first lion's roar. Buddha after Buddha and ancestor after ancestor have simply transmitted this so that the authentic teaching has never been cut off. Even though the method of expression, various stories, parables, metaphors, and explanations, was different on the more than 360 meetings over 49 years, they are nothing more than the expression of this one principle. That is to say, I, from his sentence, I together with all beings, I. That is to say, I is not Shakyamuni Buddha. Even Shakyamuni Buddha comes from this I. And it does not only give birth to Shakyamuni Buddha, all beings and the great earth also come from here. Just as when you lift up a net, all the holes are raised, in the same way, when Shakyamuni Buddha was enlightened, so too were all beings on earth enlightened. And it was not only all beings on earth that were enlightened, all the Buddhas of the past, present, and future also attained enlightenment. While this is so, do not think of Shakyamuni Buddha as having become enlightened. Do not see Shakyamuni Buddha outside of beings on earth. Even though mountains, rivers, and their myriad forms flourish in great abundance, none are left out of the eye of the Buddha. All of you here are also standing in the Buddha's eye. And it is not that you are standing there. The eye is enfolded within you. The Buddha's eye becomes the fleshy body. It becomes the whole body of each person, standing like an 80,000-foot precipice inside each. Therefore, do not think that from the past to the future there was a bright, clear eye and distinct people. You are the Buddha's eye, and the Buddha's eye is the entirety of each of you. Whew. That's the least confusing part of that account. It gets way trippier than that, but out of great mercy to all of us, myself included, I'm not going down that road today. Kazan is a very poetic kind of writer, as you can feel. So before I go any further, I kind of want to step all the way back and acknowledge there's something fascinating to me about the evolution of our species. I think of what we are doing today, of what all of you do every day when you cross your legs and sit. It's evolutionary. That's an evolutionary movement. To sit still in the world and pay attention to something in a different way than we normally pay attention, from a body sense, from a self-preservation sense, from a ego sense, right? That's an evolutionary movement. Does that make sense? Just to relate to your body from a place that's a little bit different than me. That's an evolutionary movement, right? That's a loving movement or an enlightened movement. You can just tell there's a potential in this species to kind of go, wait, there's something bigger going on here than just what am I going to eat? How long am I going to live? Who am I going to mate with? How many cookies are left? Right? And at least to our limited awareness, we're the only species that has the ability to self-reflect from outside of the self, from within the self. Does that make sense? I mean, you're just you, but you also get to watch you, so that's weird, right? Co-consciousness. Wow, we have this possibility. So why am I saying this? I'm saying this because every once in a while it hits me like a hammer on my head that like 500 BC, roughly speaking, whenever we attribute the beginning of this tradition, a myth arose, and it's a myth. Almost certainly there was historical people teaching something like this, and it evolved into the myth of a person who sat under a tree, and that's cool, right? So historical veracity or not, 500 BC, right? Way before germs, way before science, way before we learned the earth was round, way before we learned that the sun was at the center of the solar system, way before, right? This is a long time ago. A myth arose, a hero myth, right? The Buddha story is a hero story, right? We understand what a hero myth is, right? Hero with 1,000 faces, you guys? You know, yes, good, okay, read the book. But the reason this is important and the reason I'm bringing it in today is, here's the hero story of somebody who does what the hero always does, which is leave safety, do something fundamentally dangerous, dun 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 dun, and then bring back the boon to his, I guess, community, right? I went off and I slayed the dragon and I bring you back the jewels, or I climbed the mountain and I did the thing, I defeated the enemy and whatever. But for the first time, the myth is about somebody who sat still. Just sat still. That's the story. He left the palace and he sat still. That's the story. Nobody got killed. No dragons. No conquering. No violence. No overcoming. Can you feel it? This is a totally different mythological construct, right? Instead of the Gilgamesh thing, you're like, oh, descending into the underworld and defeating the monster, or ascending to the top of Olympus and taking on Zeus, or stealing fire and paying a price, or all those are awesome. They all speak to art. This isn't a comparison good-bad thing. I'm just thinking like at 500 BC, a really compelling myth arose in human consciousness that ended up lasting. Like this put down deep roots in our culture, right? And essentially the story is, I just woke up and saw something that had never been seen before about the nature of all of us. And what's the myth? The myth is that that person saw that and that person tried to teach that. Because the Christ myth is this, the Buddha myth is this, the Muhammad myth is this. And all of us kind of take that for granted, like, oh yeah, the Buddha myth, the Jesus myth, they're all about people who just woke up to love, who woke up to another way of being in the same world that I'm being. But it doesn't have the external frame of reference of that person had to go forth and overcome someone. It was themselves. And their great hero act was sitting down under the tree of life, the Bodhi tree, the tree of immortal life. Same image, right? Wow. I'm still just struck by that sometimes. That myth has any kind of staying power, that all of us are fascinated by this. What did he do? Yeah, he was super comfortable. He had everything. He left all of it, sat underneath the tree. That story sucks. That's not much of a story. Right? But when you actually read it and you allow it in, you're like, it's brilliant. Wow. No, it doesn't make a great movie because there's not a lot of action sequences. No car chases, no gunfights. Oh, somebody's sitting really, really still and just facing everything that showed up. And suddenly it is compelling because you're like, oh, I recognize he had to face lust. I know that. He had to face greed. I know that. Anger. I know that. Desire, longing, restlessness, heartbreak, avoidance, fight, flight. His history, our history. Oh my goodness. I see it now. It's brilliant. It's just brilliant. Brilliant to me. And so, moving a world myth, and it is a world myth. It isn't located on any particular, it really isn't located in any particular culture or time. We can say northern India, 500 BC, but anybody who's read the Buddha myth knows it's not about a chosen particular thing. This is representing a universal ideal. A myth that arises in human consciousness about something more than just the personal self advancing into the world. We can feel that's by definition not local. It doesn't have a gender, it doesn't have a race, it doesn't have a... Does that make sense? It's like, oh, he's just waking up to what he really is. That must be a universal possibility. And since that's a universal possibility, all of us today are practicing that. Right? That's what it seems like. That's what it feels like to me. To sit zazen, to sit meditation is participatory. I'm participating in that thing. I'm doing that activity. I'm doing the very same thing. I'm not going to get to something through the efforts of somebody who once lived. I'm going to get there through this. This is it. I am the one. Does that make sense? So when our teachers say, the story of the person under the tree waking up is your story, who else's could it possibly be? Your enlightenment and the Buddha's enlightenment can't possibly be two things. They can't be. I'm not liberated by his insight. I'm liberated by my insight. I'm not full when Lily eats cookies. I'm full when I do. I have to do it myself. This is mine. And so that first sentence, it's a powerful mythological sentence. There's actually several different versions of the Enlightenment story, therefore there's several different versions of the first thing he says when he's enlightened, you know. It feels like from a drama point of view, this better be some sentence. Mm-hmm. I mean, this has got to be like the script writer, you really got to nail this sentence. This has really got to be the right sentence. I, along with all beings and the great earth. That inclusiveness of, oh, this is everything. I have just seen it, but it is not mine. It is everything. It is all beings, and it is, oh, I get it. All of this is awakeness. All of this is aliveness. All of this is enlightenment itself. I get it. Do you feel the honoring of the personal? Oh, I just saw it. but the immediate recognition, right? Nothing just happened. It was already there. Have you ever had that experience of just realizing, like, I don't know, you're already doing something? It's like when you're walking and we're doing walking meditation, and halfway around the circle, you're like, oh, I'm walking. We're all walking. Right. We're already doing the thing. Yes. Oh my goodness, I'm alive. Yeah. I've been doing that for a long time. You have? I'm like an expert at it. Mm-hmm. Wow, I'm participating in something huge. So part of why we do what we're doing today, a thing we call a retreat, part of why we do what we do every day, which is to sit, is to remind ourselves in our bones, to make the shape with our bodies, to remind ourselves of that's the dimension of my life that's always happening. It's so easy to forget. I am awakeness. I'm awakeness first, you know. And every once in a while we get a little experience, sometimes. A lot of us have had little tastes of, oh, everything got so quiet there right before he rang the bell, or everything got so quiet there, and you're like, yeah, oh, I remember you. That's what I really am. There's a quiet there, right? I had one of those moments in this building once when somebody was, this was a long time ago, somebody was coming and going in the lobby outside the door here. It's the mental health clinic we're in today. And somebody was coming and going. And I was like, oh, we were so quiet. They like disrupted the silence, you know. I don't know why that makes me laugh, but they made noise in the field of time and space. How dare they? Anyway, they were making noise. And I was noticing crankiness. And all of a sudden, you know, showing up at me, okay, I'm doing my practice. And it actually occurred to me, you know, the silence is still there. Now there's noise added. They aren't actually two different things. They aren't opposites. One didn't ruin the other one. The silence is right here. It's just right here. Right? The noise just got added to it. And for some reason I thought, oh, like the silence actually continues. Isn't that weird? It sounds weird to say it, but I realized, well, that was actually the teaching around awareness. Can you include the sound in your zazen? Can you include your restlessness in your zazen? I'm sitting. Oh, and I hear, and I'm breathing, and it's still, and it's moving. And I'm digesting something I ate for breakfast today. All of it's happening. That's fine. It isn't more quiet when there's no noise. That sounds like a Zen sentence, doesn't it? Wow. So, is there something more I want to say about Buddhist enlightenment? I think there is a firm faith. I'm looking at my notes now. There's a firm faith in both the Zen tradition and in my own heart that the world expands and evolves and becomes more loving when individual people themselves expand, evolve, and become more loving. I, along with the great earth, right? Oh, those aren't two different things. This is the great earth showing up as I. In fact, it is the only way that the world changes. So it matters to me because it matters to you, and it matters to us all. Every time someone asks themselves, how am I feeling right now? The world evolves that one little bit. Every time someone sits down and writes out an ABCD to figure out more about what is alive and moving in them, the world gets a little more understood. Some part of it is now illuminated that wasn't before. Does that make sense? Have you had that moment where you go, why is that bugging me? Oh, yeah, there it is. I see how that works. That reminds me of this, and this is connected to this, and I was hurt by that. Oh, so I see it. That's a micro moment, right? But you just kind of go, oh, I see it. But do you see how I see it. It was unseen. It was unwitnessed. It wasn't known. It couldn't be loved. It couldn't be held. It was unknown. It was dark. And then you go, oh, that's why. I see it. Do you feel it? Like that little micro moment is a really big moment because it isn't separate. How could it be? From the whole project. Right, it's now known. It's also why the way that we know is so important, the way that we see, the way that we witness. I know meditation traditions always stress this. I get why. When I see something through the lens of judgment, it is still not included. It's still not known. If I'm judging something, I'm not knowing it. How could I? You can't do both those things at the same time. If you're judging it, you're not knowing it, you're not curious, you're not connected, you're not open. It is not known. It is not understood. It's judged. Those are two completely different things. It is as of yet in the dark. It's not illuminated until the seeing is, oh, of course. Until the seeing is undefended. Until the seeing is open. Until the seeing has the softness of the palm, not the defenses of the fist, right? This is the don't be scared gesture that you see in Buddha statues sometimes. Sometimes there's the meditation posture, sometimes there's the earth touching, sometimes there's the don't be scared fearlessness, the fearlessness mudra, but don't be scared, it's okay. I love this symbol. It's like, oh, there's my fear. It's like, oh, it's okay. Come on in, fear. I'm not additionally scared of you. I know you're an experience. I know you're coming and going. How will I come to know you? Oh, I know, by lowering my defenses. So every time someone sits down to figure out a little bit more about what is alive and moving in them, the world gets a bit more understood. I like how that feels. Every time someone comes to a retreat like this and sits still and finds themselves, yet again, by simply befriending their breathing, the world becomes that much calmer and that much safer. I know we're not always safe with ourselves. We're usually not, if we're honest. But I hope we can see the connection between safety and simply non-reactivity. Every time someone comes to a retreat like this and falls off the map for a little while, emptying themselves into the great void, the I, that Keizan Zenji describes as the place that Buddha comes from, eternity is affected. Look, one more being has discovered for even a breath what they really are. One more being has come back to their original self, their original home. What a celebration. The great luminous emptiness has one more face. The great thunderous silence has one more voice. And so in the darkest part of the season, when we all celebrate the coming of the light, this is our version, the Buddhist version of the coming of the light. Hanukkah has their version of the coming of the light. The lamp that burns impossibly long when it long exhausted its oil. It shouldn't work. The light should be gone, but it isn't. Right? Islam has their expression. Christianity has their expression, the coming of the light. It makes sense that in the dark, that we celebrate the coming of the light in the darkest part of the season, when we all celebrate the coming of the light. Please remember that the light we celebrate can only be love. We call it enlightenment in our tradition, or consciousness. It can only be you. And today, when this community at least celebrates Rohatsu, Enlightenment Day, as the world begins its turning back toward the light in the solstice here in another week and a half or 2 weeks, Let us all be reminded that we do get to change the world. We each get to choose to turn that light within. We get to choose to illuminate ourselves. We get to choose to be brave enough to fall in love with all of our dark corners. We get to choose to show up in a struggling and suffering world as a person with a living, beating, caring, and loving heart. And all of us know what a difference that single light makes. So, that's probably as much as I need to say, but I hope you can hear in that the brilliant spiritual paradox that the Buddha's words, whatever it was that was actually said 2,500 years ago, remain true. I, you, we all, along with all beings in the great earth, are awakeness. That's our fundamental identity. Nothing broken, nothing fractured. Nothing needs to be done. All is well. All always has been well. All shall always be well. Perfect the way we are. And, lots to do. That's the paradox, right? I've got a lot to do. I'm going to be on retreat for 4 more hours. I wonder what else I'll see. Is there more in that? No. But I don't currently see it, and then I will. What a paradox, right? I'm already whole. I still haven't seen that yet, though. We're perfect the way we are, and we could all use some improvement, as Suzuki Roshi says. So, my friends, I think I'll wrap up. But I thank you very much. I thank you for your practice. Those of you who are in the room today, those of you who are attending our retreat today via Zoom, those of you who are watching this recording or listening to this recording in the coming days, months, who knows. Sitting under the tree matters. Showing up for your life matters. Being willing to investigate and come to know matters. And Buddha's enlightenment really is your enlightenment. And so I thank you. With great sincerity, I thank this community. This small community that we call Flying Cloud Zen, but also this great human community. All those who have sat before us, and all those who are sitting now, and all those who are to come. I can feel supported by all those beings. So I thank you. That's as much as I need to say.